Welcome to today's webinar on immigration to Canada, featuring Attorney Joseph Rebibo. Whether you're considering making Canada your new home or simply curious about the immigration process, you're in the right place. This session will cover everything you need to know about immigration to Canada, from the basics to the more complex questions. Plus, we'll have a Q&A segment where you can get personalized answers directly from an expert. Thank you for joining us, and let's dive into the opportunities that await you in Canada.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending our Rebibo Legal webinar. I hope that everybody could hear me properly. I hope that my earphones are working well. If there is any issue, please write in the chat. If you cannot hear or there's any issue with the connection or anything at all, if I need to repeat something or whatever it may be, please write in the chat if there's any issue so that I know, because without you telling me, it would be hard for me to know myself that there is any issue while I keep talking. So for joining us. This is not the first webinar that we have done. We have done several webinars. We are trying to do more webinars as time goes on. We'll be trying to do a webinar every couple of weeks, definitely hopefully every month. And we will try obviously in the future to go through the most possible programs and news and new, of course, pathways that people can come to Canada, immigrate to Canada. And I think these webinars are very important for one reason, to gain information about immigration to Canada, for you to be able to make your own decision for the future on whether you want to come to Canada, whether you want to start your immigration process, whether you want to start your immigration process on your own or use a lawyer or a consultant or someone registered to help you immigrate to Canada. That will be your decision at the end, of course, but my job right now is to hopefully help you to make that decision, give you as much information as possible about immigration to Canada, and also for you to meet your lawyer, we're not yet in person. When you come to Canada, that will be more of a meeting in person. You'll be able to meet a lawyer virtually, be able to see us, be able to speak to us as well. And I think this is extremely important when it comes to immigration to Canada, because in general, we do have a very big issue in terms of immigration to Canada regarding frauds and scam companies that are trying to call potential people like yourselves, immigrant people that want to come to Canada, that want to gain permanent residency in Canada, and they try to get you to trust them to start your immigration process. This is something that is extremely important, because I would definitely say that the majority of my clients that I have at one point in their lives been contacted by a scam company, or have spent money or have lost money to a scam company. So if the majority of my clients have been contacted or have spent money regarding from a scam company, I think that I can make the assumption that the majority of you, or the majority of people that are interested in immigrating to Canada, definitely have received a call or have received some information from a company that is claiming to be either a law firm or a registered company or whatever it may be in Canada, but they are not. So part of this webinar is also to explain to you how you're able to find out, how you're able to choose the right person to help you, how to be able to make sure that if you are spending money, if you are spending time, effort for immigration to Canada, for wanting to relocate, change your life, have a better life, and go, of course, all the way to be able to live your dream, live your future in Canada, is it important that you have all the tools at your disposal to make the correct and right decision on who is going to help you in this path. At the end of the day, of course, as I said, that is your decision who you decide to choose, but I hope that this webinar today will be able to give you everything you need to know, everything you need in order to make that decision properly. Just to give a little bit introduction, as you all know, My name is Joseph Rebibo. I am a lawyer in Montreal, in Canada. Montreal is in a province of Quebec. There are several provinces in Canada. We are in a province that is bordering United States. We are bordering the state of New York. And our province is also bilingual. The province that I am in is a bilingual province. We speak both English and French. If any of you maybe have realized, we did, of course, also a webinar in French right before this one. So we try to attract all clients, either that speak French, either that speak English, either that speak both languages. All are accepted in Canada, of course. And we are in a province that everybody speaks both. Not everybody, but a lot of people speak both languages. Of course, there are no borders within Canada. That means if you want to come to Canada, whether you decide to live in one province or the other, it doesn't make a difference. You're able to do that. Lawyers or consultants are able to help you to immigrate to whatever province you like in Canada, notwithstanding which province they are working out of. So if we are working out of the province of Quebec, of course, we can help you come and immigrate to Canada to a different province without any issue whatsoever. I would say that it's been a few years now that, of course, that I specialize in immigration law. I would say that probably about 95% of our clients are internationals like you, people that want to come to Canada to either study, work, or gain permanent residency in Canada. So our mission, okay, our expertise is with internationals that have no experience, have no either understanding or knowledge about Canada, okay, to help you, direct you from A to Z for your immigration process, to install yourself, to come to Canada, to have a proper job in Canada, to find where you're going to live in Canada, to help you out with all these things. I have been living in Canada for over 32 years. I have a lot of experience and connections with, of course, all the different types of needs that immigrants will need in Canada. So the majority of our clients are people in your situation. So you've come to the right place. You've come to the right company or information center that can help you, direct you into the best pathway possible for you to come to Canada. It's important to understand that as a law firm, our goal is to help you find a path step by step on how you're going to eventually gain permanent residency in Canada. It's important to know that it's funny to say, but the majority of my clients did not know this originally, but it's important to know that not everybody could be eligible for permanent residency directly from your country of residence outside of Canada. It is important to understand that to be able to be eligible directly for permanent residency, you would have to have a very specific profile, very specific qualifications and experiences. It is possible, but the majority of my clients are not eligible for permanent residency directly. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot get permanent residency. Our job, our goal, of course, is to give you a plan, is to give you a map on how you're going to come to Canada, even if it's temporarily, which temporarily means that technically you will have an expiry date on your visa, but we will, of course, give you the tools and understanding step by step on how you're going to come to Canada, even if it's temporarily, to eventually get permanent residency after without having to leave Canada. That is the advantage, that is the expertise that you get from dealing with a law firm specialized in immigration. That is the expertise that you get from dealing with a company within Canada that can help you, direct you, navigate you through all the immigration system, to navigate you through all the laws. That is why people use lawyers, to be able to give you a plan on how you're going to come to Canada, and that you won't have to leave Canada. That means you won't have an expiry date that you have to leave Canada, that you will have a plan to eventually gain permanent residency. You can stay with your family and everything. It's important, obviously, we understand it and everybody understands it, that if you're going to put all the effort, the money, the planning into immigrating to Canada, that you want to have the option to be able to stay in Canada for the rest of your life. So that is, of course, from the beginning what we are doing for you, what we are offering you, and you will see that when you begin your process. You will see an exact plan on how you eventually gain permanent residency if you start an immigration process with us. Now, I wanted to mention this in the beginning of the webinar, but I had forgotten to, but now it's important to mention it. I'm going to give a good 15-20 minutes towards the end of the webinar for a question period. So I would ask everybody in the chat to please You can even start now asking questions. You can start typing questions in the chat. I promise you, when I complete some information that I want to explain, I will go through all the questions. I will try the best of my ability to answer all the questions. If there's something I cannot answer, I promise you I will check into it and I will get back to you as soon as possible, either by email or letting you know the answer to your questions. So I think the question period is a very important part of the webinar because it lets me also expand on several different topics, expand on several different ideas regarding your specific situations, people's specific situations in general. So please, you can always, even now, start asking questions. I will get to it towards the end and I will answer all the questions that I can in order to help you out as best as possible. I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview, okay, of the immigration options and immigration plans that you have in order to come to Canada. As I said in the beginning, not everybody is eligible for permanent residency. What does that mean? That means that in order to gain permanent residency, you will need to come to Canada and gain experience in Canada. The reason for this is because the Canadian government wants to see that you're serious, that you want to come to Canada, you want to invest in the society, in the culture in Canada, and that you're going to put the work. And how does that mean putting the work? That means coming to Canada with an expiry date and working and contributing to the Canadian economy, contributing to the Canadian educational system. Whether you're coming to Canada to study, to gain a Canadian diploma, if you come to Canada to gain a Canadian diploma, it shows the government that, look, you're coming all the way to Canada to get a Canadian diploma. That means obviously that you're serious. You want to stay in Canada. You want to get the best job possible. And that is where you invested your time and energy to get a Canadian diploma. So that is very important. And these are part of the reasons why these things, coming to study or coming to work in Canada, gets you enough points to get permanent residency. In general, there are many different permanent residency programs in Canada. In general, it works on a point system, and the point system, it works. A big portion of the points also comes into account regarding what you have done in Canada. Whether you have worked in Canada, whether you have studied in Canada, all these things are important to your calculation of your points. It is important to take this information, okay, and connect it with the Canadian government to see if this is the amount of points that needed to be able to gain permanent residency. The three options on how to come to Canada temporarily are to either come to Canada as a student, come to Canada as a worker, or come to Canada as a visitor. These are the three options on how you can come to Canada temporarily. Now, of course, within these three different types of programs, okay, there are many different types of programs that can bring you to get a student visa, to get a work visa, or to get a visitor visa. There are many different types of programs that allow you to get these visas, but these are the three different types of visas that gain you points to eventually get permanent residency in Canada. To give a brief description of each one, if you're coming to Canada as a student, okay, in general, this is the easiest way to gain permanent residency after your studies. The reason is because if you come to Canada as a student, you are getting at the same time a work permit, which means that you're able to get points as a student. That means you're getting points to study in Canada, and you're getting points to work in Canada as well. Of course, while you're doing your studies, you are technically allowed to work part-time. During the vacations, you can work full-time, but you are working part-time. So technically, you are not getting full-time work experience. But the advantage when you're coming to Canada as a student is that when you complete your studies, you will get a post-diploma work permit that allows you to stay in Canada for 2 to 3 years after your studies to work full-time. So when you're coming to Canada as a student, you are getting everything. You're getting points regarding studies. You're getting Canadian diploma. You're getting work experience. You're getting employer points. You're getting every points possible. So in general, when we're talking about studies, it is the best way, even if it might be a sacrifice for some people, it is the best way to gain permanent residency eventually, because it gives you the most points in most of the categories possible. Of course, just to mention, as I said before, even if you don't do any experience in Canada, you don't have any work study experience in Canada, that doesn't mean that you for sure not eligible for permanent residency. It's just that you would have to check your profile specifically and check if you have the qualifications and experiences that are usually pretty specific, because you would need to have a pretty high number of points. And check maybe if you have a high level of education, you're young, you have a lot of work experience, you could probably be eligible for permanent residency. And of course, that would be in general the best option, because you can come to Canada directly without having to go through the steps of coming to Canada temporarily, changing your visa, extending your visa, and then applying for permanent residency. Something important to mention, you normally, if you are in this webinar with us today, you were contacted by one of our agents. They are contacting you just to help you to get started on your immigration process. You are not paying for them to help you with this information and everything, and that is what we are offering. We are offering for our agents, our employees, to be able to call you, give all the information you need in order to start your process. If you have any questions, I have no doubt that they answer all the questions that you need to answer. And they have also explained to you that our immigration system in Canada, most law firms and our law firm have decided to go through a system where it's a two-step system. That means that the first step of your immigration process is the eligibility step, is to know what you're eligible for. We need to take in your documents, take in your qualifications, your experiences, and connect them with all the different types of programs that are available in Canada at the moment. That is the first step of your process. Once we gather all the information, we will send you an eligibility report, a report that will give you all the options that you have to immigrate to Canada, to come to Canada. You are going to take these options, we are going to have another phone call, and then we will go through all the options with you. We will give you the advantages, disadvantages, the cost, the delays, the chances of success, everything you need to know. We will give you all the options. We will explain to you everything, and then you will make your own decision on how you want to continue the process. If you want to begin applying for the visa, begin applying for whatever visa you're eligible for, that is up to you. That'll be your decision. But that is why we divide the process in two, because every single person has different qualifications, every single person has different experiences, and every single person will have different programs that will be attached to their specific profile. That is the most important step. It is not an expensive step, but it is a crucial step. It is a crucial step because it's going to save you time. It is going to save you money. It is going to save you energy, because with our report, you will know, you won't have to go anywhere else. You will know exactly what you are eligible for, what you need to do, with only paying, of course, the fee that you were paying in the beginning, which is a minimal fee, to know everything you need to know about your immigration plan and if it is the right plan for you. Of course, as the agent probably told you as well, if you are not eligible for anything, that means we cannot help you to immigrate to Canada. We have a policy where we reimburse you the amount that you are spending. Okay, so it's very important to follow this two-step procedure to first know what you're eligible for, and then once that's done, you will make the decision on what you would do afterwards. Will you continue the process with us? Will you continue with the visas that we are proposing for you? That is going to be up to you and what you decide you want to do moving forward, because that is when really the immigration process starts, and you know exactly how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost, and what you need to contribute, what you need to do in terms of work with us to gain your visa and to be able to make your way to Canada as well. That is in terms of our immigration process. Just to go back to the few different options we were talking about, we were talking before about student visa. As I said, it is the option that gives you the most points possible in the different categories in Canada. The second option in terms of temporary visa to Canada, we are talking about a working visa, coming to Canada directly on a working visa. There are two different types of working permits. The two different types of working permits are a closed work permit and an open work permit. I will briefly explain both work permits because they're very important in understanding what you're able to do in Canada while you're working. A closed work permit means that you are closed to work for a specific company for 2 to 3 years. This means that you're going to come to Canada, a company is going to sponsor you to work for them, and you could only work for that company. This means that you're not able to start working for another company on the side, changing employers from one day to the next. You're not able to now work for yourself, open up your own company. You really have to work for one company specifically, okay? And you cannot change jobs, and that company is sponsoring you, and they are putting themselves on the line to be able to pay you for you to work for them. And of course, as an immigrant in Canada, to be under their wing during your stay. Now, the biggest advantage of a closed work permit is, of course, you're gaining full-time work experience in Canada. You're gaining a total of 2 to 3 years of full-time working experience in Canada, and full-time work experience in Canada for a few years can almost guarantee you permanent residency after you complete your work experience. So as you can see, whether it has to do with your studies, whether it has to do with your work, the plan on how you can come to Canada with permanent residency is a step-by-step plan on coming to Canada temporarily, gaining Canadian experience, either study or work, and applying for permanent residency when you have enough points and enough experience in Canada. And that is when the government wants you. That is when the government says, okay, this person has worked in Canada, they know the Canadian economy, they know the Canadian culture, and they haven't done anything wrong. That means you weren't arrested, you have no issue with the law or anything like that. And that is when they say, okay, this person is good, they spent time here, they've worked here, they've studied here, whatever it may be, there's nothing wrong with them. And that is why you're able to have enough points and have enough chances to gain permanent residency. That is for a closed work permit. The second type of work permit is an open work permit. An open work permit is really the opposite of a closed work permit. An open work permit basically tells you that you can come to Canada, work for whoever you want, work for 3 companies at the same time, work for yourself, change jobs from the one day to the next, whatever it may be. Of course, this is the better option for some people in terms of work permits, but not for everybody. The reason is because the disadvantage would be that you don't necessarily have a secure job that you know for 2 to 3 years you will have continual work experience, full-time work experience. No, you never know when you have an open work permit. The employer can shut down. They could not want you anymore. You can have a problem, a fight, or whatever it may be, and if you have to leave, and then you'll have gaps in your work experience, which could be problematic. Usually it's not, but it could be problematic compared to a closed work permit where you have full-time work experience for 2 to 3 years. Clearly, there are advantages, disadvantages in both types of options. That is why when you start the process with us, our goal is to give you these advantages, disadvantages based on your specific situation and explain to you, well, we think that in your specific situation, based on your profession, there's a lot of jobs available in your profession. It would probably be best maybe to have an open work permit, or somebody else where there's not so much opportunities in Canada in their specific profession. Maybe it's better to have a closed work permit so you have no issues, you have no insecurities, no problems when it comes to working and staying with the company, because they have to sponsor you and they have to hire you and they have to keep you as well. So all these decisions cannot be made alone. It's very difficult for somebody new coming to Canada to make these decisions alone, and that is why we are here. That is why we're here to help you, navigate you to make the decisions on what is the best visa for you, what is the best option for you. How to receive these visas, that is based on the over 50 different types of programs that are available in Canada at the moment. All the programs are different. All the programs try to accept a different type of people, and that is what the report is going to explain to you, is going to tell you, okay, based on your qualifications, based on your experiences, this is what you are eligible for. This is how you can get a closed work permit. This is how you can get an open work permit. This is how you can get a student visa. This is how you can get a student work permit, study languages visa, whatever it may be. We have the top type of visas, and then we have all the programs under it that tell you this is how you're going to get this one. You have to be eligible for that to be able to apply for that. That's how it works. It gets a little complicated, it gets a little confusing because there are so many different programs and options out there, and that is why people use law firms, people use consultants to understand what they can do without making any errors, not wasting time, not wasting effort, not wasting money as well. That is in terms of temporary residency. Just to look into a little bit about permanent residency in general, the main immigration program, permanent residency immigration program in Canada, is called Express Entry. I'm sure the majority of you have heard about Express Entry. The Express Entry system is a point system based on age, work experience, diplomas, education, language abilities, both in English and French. Even though the rest of Canada outside of Quebec is not a francophone part of Canada, the two official languages in Canada are both English and French. So being able to speak at least one of these languages, either English or French, is extremely important. Very, very important to be able to speak one of these languages at least. And if you struggle in one of these languages, we have solutions for everything. That means we are able to offer you a solution on how you're going to improve your language abilities, improve your abilities to communicate in the language that you want to communicate, depending on the different type of province that you want to immigrate to. So the express entry system is the main system. It is the biggest system. It is the biggest system that accepts permanent residents in Canada. And when you start your process, we will be able to give you, when we send you the report, we will be able to give you the exact total point score that you have for your express entry profile. It is important to take this profile, to take this point score for your situation and compare it with what is being accepted at the moment. This is what we do with you. We take your point score, compare it with what are being accepted at the moment, and we tell you, you need to do this to get enough points to get permanent residency. You need to apply for this program or this program. Once you get into this program and you come to Canada and you work this amount of time or you study this amount of time, you will have you will have this amount of points and you will be eligible and you'll be able to apply for permanent residency without any issue. That is what we do. That is the step-by-step process, the two-step process that we do with you, and it is extremely, definitely important. I will try to go through some questions right now. As I said in the beginning, please write all the questions that you have for me, and I'll be able to hopefully go through them. Before I just get into the questions, just want to give a little bit of an overview of legitimacy. As I explained in the past, there's tons of frauds, tons of scams out there. It's extremely important that you know exactly who you're dealing with, you know exactly who you are talking to. You're able to find the company or the law firm that you're dealing with online, either the Canadian company registry you're able to find, or in the province that the company is registered, you're able to find it as well there. Make sure that the address that you're dealing with, that means the address that the law firm is incorporated or is operating out of, that address exists, that it's not just some building with a million different addresses, virtual addresses. You should be able to go on Google Maps, search for the address, see that there's a sign, know that this place exists, know that the lawyer that you're dealing with is licensed. You have to be able to check your lawyer up on the Bar Association's website. I'm sure, please, whichever agent you are speaking to, please speak with that agent and ask them. They should have showed you, but if they didn't, please ask them to show you, to be able to show you why we are legitimate. We need to convince you that we are legitimate. So please ask him. They will show you how to search for us on the Bar Association's website to know exactly our license number, to know that we are legitimate, to know that we are a registered law firm in Canada, to know that who the lawyer is that you're dealing with, whether it's me or another lawyer at a law firm, to know exactly who you're dealing with, and that we are always here to help you, always here to answer all your questions, for you to be, of course, successful. All right, so I'm going to start with the questions. First question was from Isaac. Is the first payment prior to eligibility check or after? The first payment is prior to eligibility check. As I said in the beginning, it is important to understand that if you are not eligible for anything in Canada, that fee is reimbursable. But if you are eligible, we also, as a law firm, we do the work, okay? We spend the time. We want to make sure that you are serious as well, okay? That is why there is a fee to check your eligibility, okay? And that's how we move forward. If you are serious enough and you know that you want to come to Canada, you know that when you get the eligibility and you're eligible to come to Canada, you will continue. So it makes no difference at the end if you pay the first fee or not. But if you're not eligible, of course, at the end, anyways, you're not paying the fee, so it doesn't make a difference. But this is to show us immigration comes with commitment from us and commitment from our clients as well. And that is the way to show commitment. Ours is to show that we are doing the work, and you is to show that you're able to contribute in terms of your finances, that you know that this is, of course, something that you want to do and something you want to move forward with. Sir, I have a question. If ever I stop my work here in Japan, can I continue to process my papers in the country in the Philippines? Yes, you can apply from wherever you are. usually it's always best to be able to be legal or to have proper work papers or papers in general in the country that you are living in or the country that you want to apply from. Still not necessary, but you can apply from wherever country you want. That's not an issue as well. It's just important to declare to the government where you are applying for, what your status is, where you are applying from, and to be very, very clear with the Canadian government. Because if you lie about something and you say something that is not right, you could be banned for 5 years from applying or coming into Canada. Does the university accept the gap for study visa? I'm not sure what you mean by the gap for study visa, but if you're asking if a university will accept you to come study if you have a gap in your studies, then yes. As long as you have the correct diploma and the correct credentials to be able to get into the correct program, you won't have any issue. I am working in Europe as a skilled work, how I will process. Please talk with the agent that you are speaking to. They will explain to you exactly how the process works, how we do things step by step, and they will be able to help you. I will also leave my email address in the chat in a moment. I will leave my email address in the chat. If you have any questions or any specific thing that you want to ask or confirm that you're dealing with the right agent, you're dealing with the right person that works for us, anything at all, you could always send me an email. I'm here to help you. I will answer all my emails. Of course, if you have any specific questions, I will try to get to everything as soon as possible as well. I will send my email in just a moment. Okay, can I know about duration of the work visa processing? Duration depends on the different types of programs that are available in Canada. Work permits usually take about 2 to 4 months. Then you have to apply. That's for an LMIA to get the acceptance to be able to work for a company. Then you have to apply for the work permit, which could take another few months. Everything is always faster within Canada. That's why we always stress that our clients try to come to Canada. That means we try to take the quickest visa possible to come to Canada as soon as possible. The reason is because if you're in Canada and you want to change plan or you want to change visas, whatever it may be, it's much easier to do it within Canada. The reason is because processing times are done by different types of agents, IRCC agents within Canada, and the processing times are much, much quicker when you apply within Canada itself. One more thing, can I know about duration of the work permit? Is it 3 years or 5 years? Work permits are between 2 to 3 years. Lately, the work permits I've been getting are for 3 years. They're not for 5 years, they're for 3 years. You could technically always extend them after, depending on the situation, but they are always between 2 and 3 years. How much will be cost of final payment? Cost is very dependent on your specific situation, okay? Everybody's different. We charge our fees based on the work that we do for your file. If your file takes a lot of work, it costs more money. If your file is very simple and easy, it will be much less money. There are also programs that exist that do not cost any money. There are programs that we offer, okay, that don't cost money, that there's either the government or an employer that has to pay for these steps for you. So there are a lot of different programs that cost no money. There are programs that cost more money depending on your situation. It's very hard to say the amount, but you can assume that the cost can usually vary between 1,000 euros to 4,000 or 5,000 euros if we're talking about a bigger family or whatever it may be. How much IELTS score needed to immigrate to Canada? Usually IELTS score needed minimum is about a 6 band. Having a 7 is great, at least a 7 is great, is excellent, but usually a minimum of a 6 band is needed. Now, an IELTS score in order to come to study in Canada, you won't necessarily need a 6 band. You could use even a 5 or 5.5 band. But for permanent residency, usually you would need minimum a 6 band in English. I have a tourist visa. Can you assist me in work permit? Please speak to one of our agents in order for us to assist you. We can help. We're an immigration law firm. We help with everything having to do with immigration within Canada. We will tell you what all your options are. You just need to begin your process, show your commitment, and we will be able to show our commitment back to you. Mr. Rebibo, can I get a PhD program fully funded? Usually not. Usually people, when they come to Canada, they have to pay for their tuition fees. Okay, there are specific situations with specific schools that there are the grants, there are money given to students to come study. It depends on the situation. It depends on how many are available. It depends on a lot of things. So it is possible, but in general, the majority of my clients, I can tell you, do come to Canada and they do not get everything fully funded. That's not how it works. Coming to Canada it's important to understand that coming to Canada is a privilege. It is not a right. A lot of people come tell me and they say, no, why should I do this in Canada? Why should I do that in Canada? I don't want to do that. So I tell them, like, okay, so stay where you are. That's not a problem. Canada has too much demand on people wanting to come to Canada. If you have the opportunity and the option to come to Canada, you should take it because it is a privilege. Not everybody has this option. A majority of people do not have this option. So that is very important as well. How much IELTS score is needed for study program? I already answered that. At least a 6 band. Study visa, sorry, usually at least a 5 or 5.5 band. Also, can I get PNP or LMI and provincial nomination to boost my score? Yes, all these things, LMI, PNP, provincial nomination, boost your score a lot. If you have one of those, usually you almost guarantee yourself a permanent residency. So these things usually guarantee you permanent residency. But to get these things, to get a PNP, to get an LMI, a provincial nomination, you would have to have experience within Canada. You would have to have work experience or study experience in Canada to get these things. So it always comes down to the same thing at the end. Coming to Canada temporarily, having an expiry date, but having a plan on how you're going to get enough points in the express entry system to apply for permanent residency. Can children get fully funded scholarships? How do we go about it on the visa? Children, there's always, if you're coming to Canada as a family, the Canadian government is very family oriented, okay? Meaning that you can always come to Canada as a family. I know I had spoken to some clients in the past that I had some clients that were in the UK, and I asked them, well, are you with your family? And they told me, no, we're not able to get visas for the rest of my family. I'm here working and my family's back in our country. Canada is not like that. If you are the main applicant, your family can always come with you at any point in time, in the beginning, after, it doesn't matter, they can always come with you. In terms of the children, in terms of the dependents, the main applicant is either a worker or a studier. Everyone else in the family is funded by the main applicant. That means that the kids can study like any Canadian citizen for free. They don't have to pay for their study. The kids do not have to pay for their studies, as long as the main applicant is one of their parents and they are either studying, working on a permanent residency program or whatever it may be. But dependents, that means children of immigrants, of principal applicants, are fully funded to come study in Canada. Yes. I was denied a visit visa. How can you help? Okay, so this is a great question. We get a lot of people coming to us asking us, well, I got denied, and I asked them, well, who did the application for you? And the majority say, well, I did it myself, which is great. You can do your process yourself. There's no option. There's no issue whatsoever in doing it yourself. It is completely legal. I know a lot of people that are successful in doing it themselves, and I know a lot of people that are unsuccessful. I have been doing this for many, many years in terms of immigration, applying, application. I've seen everything. Different type of denial, refusal, acceptance. I've seen everything. I've had applications that got refused just as much as accepted. But as you gain experience, you get to know every different type of qualification or experience of a client and how to address the different issues that an immigration agent will look at. So how can I help you? Well, I can help you because I have the experience to know, based on why they denied you, how to reapply and explain to the government why they were wrong to assume that the client, the potential immigrant will not go back to the country because they don't have enough money or because they don't have enough family ties or whatever it may be that the refusal letter says. So I can help you because we have experience, because I have my experience to give you and to tell you, well, this is what you needed to add. This is what you needed to add to your application. This is what you need to explain to the application. So for sure, when it comes to denial refusals, we're able to help you with that. For work permit, need also IELTS test. No, work permits, you do not need a language test. Can family members also apply for visa after getting work permit? Yes. If there's a main applicant, family members can always come with the main applicant to Canada. If someone already has a master's in the UK, what can a study fastest to study in Canada to not get rejected? Diploma, MBA, or PhD? Usually, if you have a master's degree, you probably want to go for an MD or PhD, but it also depends where your master's degree. Okay, you said it's in the UK. It depends on what program. It depends what type of strength this diploma gives you in the work market. That means what I would do, if let's say you want to come to Canada and study a diploma, okay, which is going to be a much lower level of studies than a master's. What I would do is I would explain, okay, well, this person, they want to come to Canada to study a diploma, which is a lower level than what they studied in the past. So technically it doesn't make sense. But what I would say is this person has this master's diploma in the UK, but they can't find a job. They have this master's diploma, they can't find a job, they can't do anything. It's very difficult for them. So this diploma is worthless for them. And that's how you explain how the government will see, okay, so you know what? it makes sense now. Their diploma is worthless. They're gonna do their master's degree is worthless. They're gonna do a diploma in Canada, and this diploma makes sense because this diploma will give them job opportunities in Canada. Clearly, we will show statistics to show if they do this diploma, they have a very high chance of getting a job afterwards or whatever it may be. So this is ways to beat the idea that even if you are doing a studies that is lower the highest level that you have, it could still be okay. How soon can you take your family after getting a work permit? Usually, if you do the whole application together, you can apply all together. That means that your family can all come at the same time. If you decide to come to Canada first as a work permit right away, then you can apply for them after. It'll take a few months for them to get their visas, but you could apply at any time. It's always important to know who the main applicant is. That's who the most important thing is, gaining the main applicant and then deciding afterwards, once that main applicant gets accepted, when you will bring your family with you. Gaining points if studying abroad for a Canadian diploma. I'm not sure I understand, but you do not gain points for studying abroad. You gain points for having studies in general, even if it is abroad. So yeah, you do gain some points, but specifically studying abroad does not give you specific points. Obviously, having a Canadian diploma gives you the most points possible. I'm going to give it 1 or 2 minutes if there's any other questions. Obviously, I would like to thank everyone for being with us in this webinar. We will try to do a webinar every, a few times, every few months, as quickly as possible. And we will try to abord several different topics, immigration topics, news, and everything. If there is something specific that you would like me to speak about, or whatever it may be, please send emails. If you send me a message, I would like to understand more about this program or that program, and I will tell you, okay, I will definitely get into that and explain that in the next webinar. I will send in my email right now, as somebody just requested as well, that if you have any questions, anything at all, you want to confirm one of our agents or whatever it may be, please send me a message, and I'm definitely available for you at all times. That is our job. We are here for you. We're here to help you and everything. I really hope everybody enjoyed this webinar. It is important, extremely important, that everybody understands that the current government situation in Canada is a Liberal government with the Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau. This government has been very, very open to immigration over the past 10-15 years. It was very, very different before him. It was a conservative government, and they were much more closed off on immigration. Since the Liberal government has come into power, it has been very open into immigration. We never know when this could stop, or whatever it may be. So it's important to, if this is something you want to do, to be able to start your process as soon as possible, so we can help you out as soon as possible, and for you to have the most options possible, because now is when the most programs, news, and everything is happening. If you wait, you can lose out on a program, and that could be detrimental to your future plans or whatever it may be, and you could miss out. We are here to help you. We're not here to pressure you. We're here to help you. Any question you may have, your goal is our goal, and I really hope that I'm able to see you in Canada as soon as possible. If, of course, our doors are always open. If you have any family and friends that want to come see us, check us out. We are always available for you. And as I said, I look forward to hearing from you, talking to you in the near future, and of course, seeing you in Canada. Thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you at the next webinar as soon as possible. Have a great weekend.